Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on our TNT, our live program. We're doing this every morning at the moment at 8 a.m, pretty much every morning until the news cycle starts to slow down a bit. And again, today we'll be speaking primarily about the situation along the Thai-Cambodian border. Obviously, that is still taking up a lot of headlines. It's a story that's leading around the world. It's an important story. And of course, our hearts go out to all those completely innocent people, both in Cambodia and Thailand, who are being affected by this. And so we've got, up to 500,000, maybe more people, innocent people, a lot of them kids and elderly, who have been displaced. There's schools closed, hospitals closed, lives turned completely upside down by this situation. Now, we are going to cover it from a few different angles this morning. Firstly, we're going to have a look at who's actually running this war. Now, I'm not talking about the day-to-day decisions by the military. I'm talking about the online war. And it would seem these days that this is just about as important as what's actually happening on the front line, because the opinions are formed largely by what people are reading online. Now, most of us, in fact, I would just about say almost all of us, don't actually know what's happening along the front line. And in the past, we've relied on reports from the armies and from journalists on site. Now, these days, it's much more complicated to find out who's actually telling the truth. But I think part of that is understanding where a lot of the information is coming from. Now, for example, lobbyists are a very, very big part of how things are reported these days. These are basically paid propaganda tools, people who are enlisted and paid for their services to provide favourable information for one side or another. So I did want to start with that today. By the way, we start with basically some of the main news stories, and I'll go through those in 10 to 15 minutes. Then the rest of the program basically is dedicated to the good people who are joining us online and want to join in the discussion. Now, if you're watching it after the program and you say, oh, I don't want to sit around for an hour and listen to all this waffle, well, then just watch the first 10 or 15 minutes and then switch off. But if you are online, this is basically your hour to be involved. We've had some 500 or 600 people come online each day, and I think that number's going to increase as people want to hear their thoughts shared. And I'm happy to share different people's thoughts. I've got a very, very good bullshit detector, something that I've built up over 67 years, and I'm very good at detecting trolls these days. If you do this every day, you start to get a bit of a sixth sense. And as I speak, there is one of the election trucks going by. They wait for me to start the program, then they drive past and turn their speakers up extra loud. So we're also talking about some of the blockage of fuel and ammunition and other supplies that have been making their way from Thailand to Cambodia, either because they're just regular trade or because there might be some thought that some of those munitions or fuel are being used as part of the Cambodian war effort. So we'll talk about that as well, and a few other things. I just wanted to mention, and a lot of people saying, well, people are just going to be cancelling their plans to Thailand. We'll be addressing the safety issue, and we'll have a look at some of the embassy websites to see what they're suggesting for their citizens travelling to Thailand. And there's been a slight change in that over the last couple of days. But I was at the Phuket International Airport yesterday, and I've been going there for 14 years. But I was there yesterday, and you could not get a park in the international terminal car park or the domestic terminal. There simply wasn't any spaces available. I don't think in all my years going there that I've ever seen it quite so packed. The terminals, both terminals, were just simply rammed with people coming and going. Well, I'm talking about Phuket. I'm not talking about Bangkok. I'm not talking about any other airports. That's the only one I can actually give you some sort of intel about. But there are, as you see in Thailand, cars parked behind cars that are already parked in a parking spot, and they park their cars behind and they put it into neutral, and then they just go and do whatever they're going to do, pick up a passenger or something. And so you have to push that car out of the way. It's in neutral, and get your car out. I mean, it's sort of bizarre, but that's the way that they do things. So good morning to All Thai Up, Michael Lloyd, Scott from Chicago, great to have you with us, Keith Bambury, Christian Evanson, and the Queensland Tiger. Hello to the Queensland Tiger, who's been very generous in supporting the people down in Hat Yai with a sizable donation. I think it was about $1,000 to the people down there in Hat Yai who were suffering, or still suffering, as they recover from those floods. As the car just drifts past our property, should be quiet for a while. Scott just says, before I get into the news today, Fab 103, this is a news channel here. It's a radio station, actually. Not sure if they're still operating as a radio station. There were some problems there, but they're doing a daily news program, focusing on the continued trash incinerator shortcomings and the ever-growing garbage piling up in Phuket. It's a huge problem resulting in environmental concerns. Yes, Phuket, for many years, I'll just briefly address that before we get on to the news, has sort of suffered from its popularity, and the infrastructure, including the getting rid of trash, other things like water sources, roads, of course, moving traffic around, a lack of public transportation. It just has not been able to catch up. They're just counting the money and hoping that things, just sort of work out. But Phuket's really suffering and burgeoning underneath, burgeoning, you get the idea, under its popularity. And it is a great place to go for a holiday. Perhaps not quite so good to live as an expat anymore, because the amount of traffic on the roads and the amount of just simply tourists doing tourist things has got to the stage where it's making the island a little bit difficult to operate. So yes, they do need some other way of getting rid of the trash. All right, so just moving on with the program, but just saying that yes, Phuket was very, 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 very busy yesterday, or the airport anyway. I'm very lucky that when I leave the airport, I turn left and head north off the island. Okay, let's talk about lobbyists in this ongoing situation between Thailand and Cambodia, which will be the focus of today's program. And the second half of the program, I'll get to as many of your comments as I possibly can. And I promise I'll try and read as many of them as I can. Now we'll go to Nation Thailand, which published this story yesterday. And I think there's quite a few important things to glean from this. And it says, Don Benton, a Trump ally, lobbying for US backing for Cambodia. And the article says, get to know Don Benton. He's a lobbyist. And his job is to lobby US backing for Cambodia and to downgrade Thailand. That's in his actual brief. And it shows, this is publishing contracts, showing the Cambodian government hiring 5 global lobbying firms to wage an information war against Thailand. And the Cambodian government hired leading lobby firms in Washington to carry out lobbying, public relations and legal advisory work. By the way, yes, this has been declared by the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And we start with Aiken, Gump, Strauss, Hauer and Feld, and their responsible personnel are listed there. And the contract fee, some $60,000 per month. And the others are listed there, and you can see the amounts they're being paid, a similar amount. We've got Corvus, we've got Brownstein, Hyde, Faber, Schreck, Martin Barton, Fargo, Packrim Bridges, National Consulting Services, all being paid between $38,000 and $69,000 per month. So these are people who are being paid by the Cambodian government to basically try and make Cambodia look good and Thailand look bad. Now, there's another one I've spoken about in great length, Michael Alfaro. I've spoken about him and shown exactly his links and how much he's being paid. And that followed a live stream he did from the Cambodian border. We're going back to July, I believe, but I was able to show exactly his links to a lobby group And I think it's important for us to know if we're watching things online and if we're reading things, where's that information coming from, and follow the money. Now, there's more to this, and so we'll keep on going. I'll get to that in a moment. I just wanted to mention this. This is from Politico because, of course, the corollary question is, well, who's Thailand paying to do public relations and make Thailand look good and make Cambodia look bad? Well, I did check into this, and it doesn't seem to be any specific people being paid by Thailand to the US anyway, declared in these listings, who are currently lobbyists. And Politico has gone into this. It says the arsenal of lobbyists working for the Cambodian government in Washington dwarfs the Thai government's representation in the US. And we go a bit further down there. It says earlier this year they were paid to coordinate with US officials on events like the 2034 Olympics. Interesting, I suppose, to note that Thailand might be lobbying to get the 2034 Olympics. That'd go well, wouldn't it? Let's find out a bit more about what other lobbyists. We go down further, and some names are mentioned, and you can screenshot these and read it in greater detail. But lobbyists help to advise Thailand in trade negotiations, and that's basically it. So the article saying that, well, the amount of lobbyists paid by Thailand is dwarfed by the situation in Cambodia. So I'd urge people to be very careful about when they're interacting on social media. I'm sorry to say, but a good half of those people, probably more, it could be even up to 90% of the comments that are being posted by trolls and people involved with these lobbyists. Now, they've not only got the direct funding in their contracts, they've also got a lot of indirect funding, which is going into paying for these, I suppose you'd call them, troll services. Now, AI is not helping the situation because a lot of this is now being AI generated. And when you're running a YouTube channel, you've got a comment section, you are also going to have problems with these trolls. So I think we just need to keep our eyes wide open and be really up to date with how the whole system works. There's the fighting that's along the Thai-Cambodian border, and then there's this fight for the minds and hearts of the people that's being fought out online, and it's a pretty dirty game. So just be very aware of this, and we'll try and keep you up to date with any more information that is published about these trolls. Now let's go back to other things happening on the ground, and I found this one from the Thailand Travel Facebook page, and asks the question, is it safe to visit Thailand? And the answer is yes, but not along the eastern border where Thai and Cambodian military are fighting on and off, with many civilian deaths and serious injuries. I'll get into some of those numbers later. Also in the south, there are random bombings and shootings regularly by Islamist activists, which has been going on for many years. Well, the situation along the Thai-Cambodian border and the situation along the Malaysian border with Thailand are two completely different situations. The one along the Malaysian border has been concentrated in the past 25 years, but still on a daily basis. There are thousands of Malaysians travelling into Thailand for tourism and thousands of Thais travelling to Malaysia. It's basically safe to cross those border areas. There are some parts of the border where you're probably less advised to hang around, but these terrorists are not targeting tourists. They've been quite specific about that. And it's really a sort of a land dispute with a religious dimension that goes back 100 or more years when other border matters were changed. But the two issues quite separate. And just going to this map that they've published. Now, it's a bit blurry, and I'm sorry about that. This is the best quality they had. But it shows the border of Cambodia and Thailand, and the red showing a sort of 50-kilometre inside Thailand's borders, and they're saying that that's something that you should be avoiding at the moment. I'd also suggest you should be avoiding the 50 kilometres on the other side of the border as well. But this is just showing the Thai side. But pretty much 50 kilometres on either side of the border, Thailand and Cambodia, would be worth avoiding at the moment. So that's the advisory there from Thailand Travel Facebook page. And thank you very much to somebody saying, is Thailand vying for the Winter Olympics? Well, that would be interesting. There'd probably be about 1 square metre on top of a Chiang Mai mountain where they could actually do that. Let's go to the next article, and this is published by Reuters. Thailand cuts Laos fuel route as Cambodia border conflict deepens. And it's just giving a bit of a keen note here as to some of the things happening. Border clashes between Thailand and Cambodia enter the second week. At least 38 people are dead and 500,000 people displaced. Some fuel sent to Laos going to Cambodian forces, according to the Thai military. And Cambodia says Thai Air Force is striking deep inside its territory. And going to the story, and the story came from both Bangkok and Phnom Penh, published by Reuters. Thailand's military said, this was from Monday, that it had stopped fuel shipments passing through a border checkpoint with Laos because it fears they were being diverted to Cambodia. And a special meeting of the ASEAN foreign ministers, where top diplomats from both sides could have met, that was scheduled to take place yesterday, has been pushed back to December the 22nd, which is next Monday, at Thailand's request. And then just a bit of background, the neighbours have long disputed sections of the frontier, but the scale and intensity of the latest clashes that stretch from forested inland areas near the Laos border to coastal provinces are unprecedented in recent history. And the military, this is the Thai military, is also considering limiting the movement of Thai vessels into high-risk areas in Cambodian waters where they could be fired upon, according to a Navy official, adding that any such measures would not impact shipments from other countries. Important to note that any of these actions taken by Thailand and Cambodia are not trying to involve anybody outside of those two countries at the moment. It also refers to drone attacks and airstrikes. It says fighting is continuing at least 9 locations along the frontier, with heavy exchange of firing across 4 border provinces, including at the coast. And Thai forces, this is according to Cambodian sources, had used drones and heavy artillery at multiple areas alongside deploying its F-16 fighter jets for airstrikes in the Siem Reap province. Not to be confused with the Siem Reap town, which is well inside the borders of the province. And it says that area houses the country's second largest city and the major tourist centre of Angkor Wat. And it's also noteworthy, according to the Cambodia Defence Ministry, that the number of fighter jets and cluster bombs used by the Thai military to attack Cambodia has been increasing significantly. I'll say more about this Cambodian Defence Ministry spokesperson some other day. She's quite a character, and I'd like to just go through some of her quotes, both going back to July and recently. But she is basically the voice of the Cambodian government that the media sees. And as I said, she's quite a character. I just thought I'd just very quickly go to the front pages of 2 publications. Thai PBS World, which is run and funded by the Thai government, but has a broad editorial spectrum. It's basically not just a voice for the Thai government, and has a broad editorial control, and it is often very critical of the Thai government. And the other one is the Khmer Times, which seems to, at the moment, be one of the best publications to sort of follow what's happening in Cambodia. I've been trying to log on to, as I've mentioned, the Phnom Penh Post. I just can't seem to log on to it for whatever reason. Other people were telling me yesterday that they can. And thank you very much to all the other people who are online. I'll be getting to your questions very, very soon. And we'll spend the second half of the program addressing your comments, your thoughts. And if I can answer a question, I'll do my best to do so. Remembering that my opinions and my answers to questions are from me. I'm trying to be fair and balanced, but at the end of the day, I'm just an old guy living in Thailand, and I do follow the news. I've been talking about the news for 14 years here, but the comments made are my comments, and I can't attribute them to anybody else. Anything that I'm reading the source, so you know where that information comes from. Let's go to Thai PBS World. Their headline, Thai troops take full control of Chongan Ma. And reading left to right, no proof that China is replenishing Cambodian forces, according to the Thai army. And Cambodia must first announce ceasefire for fighting to stop. We'll talk about that story more in a moment. And a former People's Party MP, that's a member of Parliament, sent to prison for 2 years for draft dodging. Now, that would relate to two possible situations. Young Thai men have to serve in the Thai military. It's a random system. I think it's about 1 in 20, but they go to a ceremony once a year and they draw the balls out of, there's red balls and there's black balls, and if you get a black ball, you're enlisted into the army for 2 years. Basic training. You're not sent out to border clashes with Cambodia. The other thing that could happen is he could have drawn the black ball and somehow dodged going into the army. The other thing is he might have made a payment and something went wrong and he was caught out. But he's been sent to prison for draft dodging. Other stories in the from Thai PBS World. Will apology be accepted? That's discussing the dynamic between the head of Pumjai Thai Party and the head of the People's Party, and an agreement they had to form a minority government. That government's now been dissolved. We're waiting for a new election in Thailand on February the 8th. Very interesting to note, I've read very little from the People's Party over the past couple of weeks, ever since this election was announced. I think we need to discuss that in coming days as well. Just a few more headlines before we go to the Khmer Times. A latest story, Thai army regains control of the Takwai temple. Situation remains volatile. Let's go to the Cambodian Khmer Times and check some of their headlines. Thai violence drives 131,000 children into shelters. Thailand lays down 3 conditions for the ceasefire, and those conditions have not changed going all the way back to July. At least with Thailand, you could say it's been relatively consistent about its particular demands for a ceasefire. Going across to the right, spectre of war returns to haunt Khmer Rouge survivors. UN urged to intervene in Cambodian-Thai border dispute. Cambodia-Vietnam elevate education and defence ties. This story, 2 more deaths reported, bringing the civilian death toll in Cambodia to 17. And the Czech ambassador hopes the Cambodia-Thailand border dispute will be resolved peacefully soon. Not really sure what the Czech ambassador to Cambodia was expected to say. Would have not gone down well if she said the opposite. And a bit further down there, Cambodian minister visits frontline, delivers aid to the troops, and the number of displaced people surpasses 425,000. I think yesterday they were publishing a number that went down to the single digit, and I was questioning how they could possibly know to a single digit about people who have been displaced. Some of the information from the Cambodian side relating to deaths and injuries has been wildly disparate. I think it's a bit hard to know exactly what's going on. The Khmer Times, to their credit, have been fairly consistent with their news reporting. Now, just a few other matters that I wanted to go through news-wise, and this was one we mentioned earlier. From the Bangkok Post, Thailand steps up crackdown on Cambodia-bound fuel and arms, and Thailand's National Security Council resolved yesterday to block all shipments of fuel and warfare-related supplies to Cambodia as the conflict continues, though shelling by Cambodia, it notes, had declined to some extent. I've read that in other reports in the last 24 hours. And the second paragraph there, according to the National Security Secretary General, said the centre would issue warnings to Thai vessels heading for risk areas related to the Thai-Cambodian war. He's been using the WAR word there. The Marine Department will be responsible for checking vessels, mainly Thai ones, suspected of delivering fuel and armaments to Cambodia. The Royal Thai Navy said earlier that measures would not be as severe as a full blockade and would not affect ships from other countries. And the military earlier suspended overland exports of all fuel products and military equipment to Laos via the Chokmek border, crossing up there in Ubon Ratchathani, following intelligence reports that fuel and weapons were being diverted to Cambodia. And another comment in that article, meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence, the Thai Ministry of Defence, said Cambodia resumed attacks on Thailand early Tuesday morning, while Thai forces had secured control over 4 out of 19 contested positions along the Thai border. That's from the Thai Ministry of Defence. And this article, published by a Turkish publisher, saying that more schools close as the Thailand-Cambodia border clashes continue. I just wanted to mention these two statistics. Cambodia's Education Ministry said the fighting along the border has forced the closure of 1,039 schools across 6 Cambodian provinces, disrupting education for some 10,000 teachers and 242,000 students. That information from Fresh News, which is a Cambodian news outlet. And further down there, talking about Thailand, more than 600 schools and hospitals were closed, and they're citing information there from Thai Inquirer, which itself is an aggregator. And officials and local media said about 700,000 people have been displaced on both sides of the frontier since fighting intensified last week. 15 civilians have been killed in Cambodia, and Thailand's reported the deaths of 16 soldiers and 9 civilians. We'll get onto that story maybe a little bit later, but I think it's time now to go to your comments. I want to try and give as much time as I can, because it is, at the end of the day, your program. So I move my coffee around. By the way, if you feel inclined, you're very welcome to buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description below, so that's always an option if you get anything useful out of these daily broadcasts. And I'll continue doing these at 8 o'clock in the morning until the news cycle sort of calms down a little bit. Just turning the light up so I can see what's going on. And thank you very much to all the people who have joined us online this morning with our daily catch-up. Pete C245, Peter here, Tim. I'm of the opinion the hierarchy, both sides of the border, are happy to use the common people as pawns in their big games. Yeah, look, I think you're probably right. But I think you'd probably say that literally of just about any conflict around the world, that the people in power often use the people on the ground as pawns in a much larger game. As I've said quite consistently over the last couple of, 6 months anyway, that this has got little to do with dots on a map, and there's a lot more going on behind the lines that is driving this particular conflict. Alf van der Hulst. Interesting, the terms include downgrade Thailand, so the plan is not a win-win, but a Cambodia win, Thailand lose. Says it all, really. Patrick Dowdle says if Thailand does get the Olympics, anyone who owns a condo or two will make a lot of money. Well, sure, but I can't see Thailand getting the Olympics. Certainly won't be getting the Winter Olympics. But there would have to be some wholesale changes made to some real estate to facilitate an event like the Olympics. I mean, Thailand could certainly put it on, but exactly where would they put it on? I mean, it would have to sort of be in Bangkok. But yeah, you'd have to find a space to to build stadiums large enough. They don't have anything like that at the moment. Anyway, that's sort of another story on another day. I wanted to mention a term I read. I'll get to that in a moment. There was a term about Thailand was demanding a unilateral ceasefire. Now, the bilateral situation between the two countries is the only way this is going to be resolved, but there was a demand from the army for a unilateral, that's one side, ceasefire. I was trying to sort of, what's the difference between a unilateral ceasefire, or the demand for one, and basically demanding a surrender? I thought the word unilateral ceasefire was just a fancy term for the old white flag. The Wu-Tang Life says the sidewalks and roads would have to be fixed. Yeah, to get the Olympics, tons of work and a lot of cash. It's not going to happen. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Linda Reimer, hello Linda. The 2034 Olympics are Winter Olympics. Okay, thank you very much. No, there's no ski hills in Thailand. Having said that, I was in Kazakhstan in Almaty last year, and they've built this huge, like, artificial ski slope. Very easy to see from just about all parts of the town. It was 28 degrees, but people skiing on this artificial outdoors, not indoors, this outdoor artificial ski slope was 28 degrees, and people zooming down the hills in their Speedos and shorts. Question from Scott D in Chicago. Tim, do you ever send CNN, etc., your contact info and bio to offer analysis? I know you were interviewed back during the cave incident. Oh, I've been a correspondent for both CNN and Deutsche Welle, and a few other sort of smaller independent radio stations and TV stations around the world, only sort of in passing. But yes, I was involved with the CNN coverage on the periphery back during the cave incident. That was, 2018? Just seems a very distant incident now. But no, I don't send them my information. I suppose I'm still on file. But my days as an active sort of participant in providing information to these big news sources are sort of over, and they want somebody young and pretty. They don't want an old wrinkly guy like me. But thank you for the question. Cruising the Thaiway. Tim, I'm curious about being a grumpy old American here in Thailand. What is the definition of a troll? I've heard this word troll 100 times and I'm not clear what this term exactly means. This is from Chris Lee. Well, let me go to somebody who might be more impartial than me. This would be the Google AI, and I'll be asking, can you define the word in inverted commas? How do I do that? I'm using the keyboard, the iPad keyboard, because my add-on keyboard doesn't work. Let's see what it comes up with. Troll. In folklore, an ugly creature depicted as either a giant or a dwarf. I don't think we're talking about Lord of the Rings sort of trolls. Troll in relation to social media. See if we get a better answer this time. In social media, a troll is a person who deliberately posts inflammatory, offensive, or disruptive content to provoke arguments, upset others, or gain attention, often hiding behind anonymity for amusement or malicious intent. That is a very, very good definition. Thank you, Google AI. Do you want me to read that again? I will just very briefly read it again. A person who deliberately posts inflammatory, offensive, or disruptive content, often hiding behind anonymity, basically always hiding behind anonymity for amusement or malicious intent. Now, when you're posting here on my comments section, the people who I either know, who have been long-time followers, if you've got a face and a real name, I'm going to be giving you, from my mind anyway, a whole lot more credibility than people with some sort of anonymous, weird handle name, and then a completely, well, either no picture or a picture of a view of the sea. So yeah, it's very easy to take people at face value, but once people are hiding behind an anonymous handle and completely irrelevant photo, I'm just not going to take you as seriously. Because I'm not saying that you're a troll, and you may have good reasons for keeping your identity anonymous, but you can't be taken as seriously because we live in a world of trolls. I'm sure we'll get to some today. So thank you, Cruising the Thai Way. Damien says, so much for YouTube letting me know when you went live. Well, you can blame YouTube for that, and I'm sorry you weren't told. How many fighter jets does Thailand have? I found that yesterday. I don't know why I'm doing this. You could do this yourself. How many fighter jets does Thailand have? We might do a comparison of the two militaries tomorrow if I've got time. Thailand's Royal Thai Air Force operates a significant fleet, 72 fighter jets, and that includes F-16s and I think the Saab Gripon fighter jet as well. They've got 11 of those. So some sources noting over 100 combat-capable aircraft in total. So it does have quite a significant air force for a, well, relatively small country. The Chinese need to be involved to deal with the criminal scam activities going on in Cambodia and Myanmar. This is from Stephen Landstoll. Yes, the Chinese government, I'm not talking about some of the Chinese directly involved with these scam centres, but the Chinese government are very concerned about these and obviously in the background involved with the Thai government to try and clamp down and eliminate as best they can these scam centres. They're doing a lot of work trying to stop Chinese answering advertisements for jobs. From the outset, it looks like, oh, job in Thailand, that sounds like fun. But the Chinese government's very involved, and it has been a major cause of a drop of Chinese tourists into Thailand since January this year. Doug McEwen says stopping flights between Thailand and Cambodia would hurt them more than Thailand. That situation hasn't happened yet. So just sort of pre-reading the next question whilst responding to this one. You can still fly as a foreigner, basically as a Thai or a Cambodian, from Thailand to Cambodia or Cambodia to Thailand if you've got the right passport and the right visa. So the flights have not stopped. Ben Lino says Phnom Penh Post closed down about 6 months ago. It may have closed down its hard copy, but it's been publishing and it continues to publish online, and it's also got a Facebook page publishing online. I can access their Facebook page without any problems, but I'm unable to access their online publication. But I visited their offices about 10 years ago and knew the editor at the time quite well. It's a much different publication these days. But Phnom Penh Post is still publishing, although I'm not sure if it's still publishing a daily paper in Phnom Penh. Bob Down says, good morning from a retired Aussie in Callison. Has there been any official line about what was targeted in Siem Reap, or did it even happen? Well, as far as we know, it happened, but we're talking about the northwestern part of the Siem Reap province, nowhere near the Siem Reap town, which is a popular tourist area and obviously home of some significant UNESCO heritage temples, including Angkor Wat. So we're talking about, in this context, Siem Reap, the province and the northwestern borders of that province, not the town. Okay, from time to time my feed jumps and I apologise for that. Okay, Cruising the Thai Way, typically when referring to trolls, it is Oh, this is Guzzy Jack responding. It's someone that leaves negative, outrageous, poison pen type comments just to get a reaction or because they have nothing better to do. Well, I think often, and the ones I'm concerned about are the ones that are openly and obviously malicious. I think that is a major problem and something that I try and reduce, at least in my feed. Cruising the Thaiways back again. Thank you for the definition. All the new words and acronyms flying around the last decade have created a language barrier. Well, languages are dynamic, languages change, and you can get hold of the Webster's Dictionary from the US and the Oxford Dictionary, and you'll find hundreds of thousands of differences in just the English language alone, plus, of course, all these new words that are added all the time. What was the word of the year for the Oxford Dictionary? Rage bait, I think, is obviously a hyphenated word. Rage bait was the new word that's been added to the Oxford English Dictionary this year. Done with a drone with a flag, talking about one of the screen grabs we did, looks somewhat Photoshop, haha, could be wrong, but why even? No, I think it actually was a photo. It was credited as a photo, so I think somebody actually did put a flag on a drone and flew it above one of those positions where the Thai army were fighting at the time. Dwight Asini says, good morning, Tim and everyone else. Please hit the like button. Well, thank you very much, Dwight. I concur with your comments. John Larson says they know the numbers precisely because everybody has to register whether you evacuate or not. They simply want to know where people are situated. Oh, I get that. But the situation is so dynamic that there is no way that they would know to a single number where people are and who's been displaced and who hasn't. Of course, it'd be great if we would be able to know, but you'd have to put like sort of tags on people to geolocate them. And thank you very much to all the people yesterday when I was sort of saying, oh, it doesn't really matter if somebody's taking a photo in one of these war zones. A lot of people said, well, no, this is a problem. The photos can be geolocated and can be used against the armies on either side. So thank you very much for a lot of the people trying to provide some additional information about that. If you got the original photo, this is me asking ignorantly, on my phone, I understand it's got metadata with geolocation details and a timestamp, but when I repost that photo, does all that information go when I repost it? Or if I do a screen grab and then post the photo, I'm pretty sure that that wouldn't include the metadata. It would include the metadata from the screen grab when that occurred, but I would have thought that all the other metadata about the location would be lost at that stage. Anyway, happy to hear from people who know a lot more about that than I do. Damien, oh, and the drone looks like a DJI, which is a Chinese-made. China has access to all digital information from DJI drones, just a thing in the drone world about where the info can be seen. I think most of the bigger, more popular, reliable drones are made by DJI. The claim that China can access all digital information from those drones, is that something that you can turn off on the drone? Is that true? I'm not sure, but I thank you very much for your comment. Bill G, good morning to Bill. Thailand seems to be targeting military targets. What is Cambodia targeting? It seems that Cambodia are just lobbing munitions aimlessly into Thailand. I think you're right, Bill. I think the artillery that, particularly the BM-21s, they are not very good at targeting anything in particular. Now, we had the situation back in July where that 7-Eleven was hit by a shell from a BM-21 cannon, rocket artillery fire, and it may be that that was more just a stroke of luck for the Cambodians firing and not necessarily targeted. My understanding is that they are not very well targeted. The Thais with their F-16s and their air power, I think are being much more targeted. I think that's an accurate assessment. I'm happy to hear other people's thoughts on the matter. Shane O'Traveller, I loved my time in Cambodia, but now I don't see myself going back there. Well, not in the short term. I've enjoyed my trips to Cambodia. I've been there 3 different times. I've been to Phnom Penh twice. I've been to Siem Reap once. I even contemplated driving there from Bangkok. But at the time, the roads were appalling. I believe the roads are now a lot better between the Thai border and Siem Reap. But I won't be going there anytime soon. But hopefully this does calm down quickly and both Thailand and Cambodia can get back to attracting tourists from around the world to enjoy the beauty on either side of the border. Angkor Wat. Look, I did the whole balloon thing. You go up in a sort of balloon tethered to the ground at sunrise. I have no idea if that still operates. This is about 10 years ago. And I got the photos of the sunrise over Angkor Wat. I also got to walk around the temple in the intense daytime heat. And then you shuffle off to another temple. And I have to say, after you've seen a couple of temples and not really being buried in the history, you get sort of temple fever after a while. And I don't think I was in the best of health at the time. That didn't help the situation. But I'm not sure if I'd go back to see Angkor Wat. Definitely worth seeing at least once in your life if you're in this part of the world. Cruising the Thaiway says, I'm not able to use my name on YouTube account without changing the name of my YouTube channel because my name isn't displayed. Tim has said negative things speaking of me. Kind of hurtful. Well, look, I'm not targeting anybody particularly, and as I said, I understand there would be some people who, for whatever reasons, are not able to use their name. I see it, and you might go, oh, poor Tim, as a little bit unfair. I've got my face here. You know who I am. My name is used in the name of my channel. But some people sort of batting brickbats from time to time. We don't know who you are, and I see that as a little bit unfair. Particularly when people are, being highly critical of other commenters and the host. I think it does read as a little bit unfair if I don't know who you are. Would you say those things if I was sitting having a coffee with you? I doubt it. I've invited many people who have challenged me on various things to come to this town and debate. I've even offered them a free night in a beach house to come and debate me on the things they've challenged me anonymously online. So I'm very happy to sit and debate people on various issues. But yeah, when you're anonymous, it's just more difficult to take you seriously. So I'm not having a go at anybody in particular. It's just a general comment about what I see as a bit of a failure of YouTube and the way it conducts its business. But I'm here on YouTube. I've accepted their terms and conditions. Doug McEwen's back talking to Bill G. That's all you can do with a BM-21. This is a Russian rocket cannon thing. Pardon my lack of artillery knowledge. More a terror weapon than a strategic one. Bob Downs back again. Do you know if it's just the one crossing where the fuel's been stopped? Would it still be getting through at Vientiane, for example? Hope there was some sort of consultation or heads up beforehand. Well, they're talking about fuel tankers that seem to be making their way not to Laos, but forward into Cambodia. So I think that's what they're talking about. Is the Buffalo want cross-border? Does it need stamps? This is from somebody calling themselves Muck Muck. Have another go at your question. I'm not quite sure what you're saying. Damien says, cruising YouTube works oddly. My name isn't my YouTube and changes my name different times. Well, there you go. I can't comment on that, but thank you for that intel. MTLMT says, CNN and DW, question mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Don't mention those fake news, not good in your CV. I'm very proud to put my coverage for CNN and DW in my CV. Not that I have a CV these days. No one's going to read it. But both I've found have been, for their international coverage I'm talking about, I think both have been very good over the years. But people have got different thoughts on that matter, and that's fine too. Doug Vincent joins us, says conflict news, and asking us if we, Mrs. and I, are still heading to Thailand for the winter. Conflict news and asking us if we are still... I'm not sure if you're asking me something. Damien, the troll under the bridge, remember that story? Tyron says Hun Sen and Son needs this conflict to distract people from the scam centres and how they can operate with such impunity. Tyron, I'm going to read your comment out once more. Hun Sen and Son need this conflict to distract people from the scam centres and how they can operate with such impunity. Robert Best, opinion is good then. Tyron says, this is my baby picture. Yes, you've got a baby picture next to your name. Damien, sorry, Tim, I never use my face picture because I'm ugly. Oh, Damien, I think you're being unfair to yourself. I'm similar facial features, but hopefully people aren't looking at me for my facial features. Carry on with an election day set for February the 8th, is there any prospect of a ceasefire deal with a caretaker government in place? Well, I'd say yes, and the caretaker government would be able to be involved in a ceasefire deal. No question about that at all. They would probably have a special sitting of Parliament. A caretaker government is allowed to in an emergency situation, and this would be covered under that definition. Would sit down and I'm sure they'd be able to sign off on a ceasefire deal. I think if we can see the two prime ministers signing such a ceasefire deal and both parliaments sitting and voting for a ceasefire deal, then it gives it a lot more credence. Just people signing on a piece of paper is not really a ceasefire or a peace deal until it has been secured by the parliaments in those various countries. Good morning, Tim, from Surin Province, says Thai Scottish. And just scrolling through again. As far as I'm aware, you can turn off the photo data, location, date and time, says Thai Scottish. I'm pretty sure there are different privacy settings, but generally, if you're just firing off your phone, even the fact that your phone is on, somebody may be able to track where you are at the time. Joe Schmoo, I've still not heard why they are fighting. No one can give a reason. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, I've been providing, from my point of view, and in my opinion, what I believe this is all about. And I've said from the past, I understand there has been disputed territory between these two countries for over 100 years. I understand there is discussion and dispute about where the borderline is. But I also have said, again, my opinion, that I don't believe this current outrage and conflict has got anything to do with that dotted line or the position of that dotted line, despite that being where the fighting is taking place. You're just going to have to go back through my videos going back to July as to what I believe is behind it. But it's about two families, one in Thailand, one in Cambodia. It's a fight for power. It's about egos. It's about the control of the money from the scam centres. And we're talking of billions of US dollars, such that a number of independent researchers, independent journalists, independent NGOs, government organisations, principally from the US, have said that 50 to 60%, depending on who you're listening to, of Cambodia's GDP last year was gained from the operation of scam centres. Now, I think that is a very telling figure, and as we say in this business, follow the money. So don't look at the map and the dotted lines. Have a look at the amount of money that Cambodia's been making from scam centres, and then look at who's been operating them. Follow the dots. Not along the border, but on the sketch of the way that the whole things are set up, these schemes and systems, and the ownership and the money flow from these scam centres through to people in power, some people that have made a lot of money and are trying to export their money from Cambodia through Thai bank accounts. It all starts to make sense. I was sort of caught off guard with that question. Obviously, it's a much more complicated situation than that, but that's sort of my general thrust on the matter. Richard Cox, sorry, Tim, you've lost me with the waffle waiting for the news. You said the first 15 minutes is news. It's not. Well, mostly it is, and so I'm sorry you didn't find it, but there was a whole 20-minute chunk of news near the front of this video. Tyron says she's has great attitude and personality and good looking. I'm not sure who we're talking about here. Bottle Baby, recall memories of Walter Cronkite reading about war news from Vietnam in the 60s. Daryl McGee, time to go. Thanks, Tim. See you all tomorrow. Thank you, Daryl, for dropping in. Stephen Whitby, g'day, Tim. I laud your attempt somewhat successfully to be impartial. I think your continuation of emphasising that that may anger many Thais. Anything positive about the Cambodians will be frowned upon. I'm not trying to be positive about one side or the other. I do understand that I am here in Thailand, but I'm not trying to show favour towards one side or the other. I'm trying to read the news as written and trying to provide some perspective. I don't think the Thais would necessarily be angry about the way that I've been presenting things. I'm not really saying anything negative about Thailand. I'm just trying to post the information as I read it from various sources. Scott D says, Zombie is no longer stationed in Bangkok. She's in a different city. I don't know who this person Zombie is. Ty Draper, I've noticed that the small arms used are from the 60s, left over from the Vietnam conflict, supplied by mostly the US, while still very effective. Who is supplying the ammo? Damien's back. Splat. Yes, there's something wrong with DJI and USA, but maybe the older ones are okay. Might have something to do with Traffis on that one. I know worldwide you can't fly any type close to military area. Thank you for that. We're talking about these DJI branded drones. These are not the military drones. These are just drones where you can sort of just have a look around what's going on with very good cameras these days. When I post sometimes it shows my name and sometimes my handle, not sure why, says Thai Scottish. Stephen Whitby, anything anti-Thai press or praising Khmer press will be misrepresented. Sorry, that's just vanished in front of me when I was reading that. Anything anti-Thai, sorry, Stephen Whitby, press or praising Khmer press will be misinterpreted by Thais. You're a guest here and therefore you're expected to support Thailand. Well, thank you, Stephen, for your advice, but I'll keep on reading the information that I have in front of me. I'm just reading the Khmer press, which is available to anybody in Thailand. I'm not doing anything that any Thai person can't do. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong or praising the Cambodians. When you say that I'm a guest here, you may have not been watching for long, but I've said for a long time I've been living here for 14 years. I'm an employer, I'm a taxpayer, and I don't consider myself a guest. I'm way past being a guest, but I'm certainly not a permanent resident. I'm not a citizen, but I'm somewhere in the middle. A guest is a person who comes to my house, sits down, eats a meal, uses the toilet, maybe helps wash the dishes, and then goes. I'm not a guest. Scott Chicago, I believe that Zombie's role is now 100% TikTok focused. Who's Zombie? I don't know who Zombie is. The Wu-Tang Life, how do you feel about Thailand tourism numbers for 2026? Do you see a bounce back or even more of a decline? Are the numbers down this year compared to last year? I think some 34 million last year. It's going to end up about 32 million this year. Very, very busy, certainly at Phuket. At the moment, we are in the high season, so I don't know. It's very hard to predict. As to what effect this conflict and the headlines around the world will have on Thai and Cambodian tourism into next year, it's very much going to depend on how the situation is contained over the next few weeks. Paddy Pepsi says, you're a legend. Thank you very much. Tim, do you drink? If so, what's your favourite tipple? This is from Lat265. No, I don't drink alcohol. I've in fact never had a drink of alcohol in my life. Not one. Not a single thing. Sorry, I'm just getting some notifications. I do run a business as well. I've got to keep on top of that. So, no, I don't drink at all. I don't have a favourite tipple. My favourite tipple is an apple cider, a non-alcoholic apple cider that I buy at Lotus, and also just soda water. Singer soda water is my favourite tipple, but I don't drink alcohol. Scott D, well, that's good for her then. We're talking about this person called Zombie. Let's try and get back to the story. I've got to do two more. I'm sorry I can't read all of these. The areas of conflict where Cambodian forces encroached are all points that cross the watershed cliff face, a natural boundary recognised by the UN, and are encroaching on the Thai side. Yeah, a lot of the border is this, he's calling it the watershed cliff face. If you have a look on Google Maps, change to satellite view, you can see this plateau of Thailand, and then this basically a cliff face, and then the plains of Cambodia below. It is a natural geographical feature, and along the poised on top of some of those cliffs are some very famous temples. Tim, did you check any update on UN reports about numbers of scammers during the conflict between the two countries? Did it less, more compared to... we're talking, I suppose, from July to now. There is an impact, no doubt, on the specifically Cambodian scam centres. There's been a lot of action at some of these casinos poised along the Thai-Cambodian border near places like Poi Phet. And I think there has been a downgrading in these scam centres, but there is so much money involved, billions of US dollars, that they're going to be moving away from the border into another country. They are going to do everything they can to keep their operations going, while there are still people who are silly enough to get involved in these scams. There'll be these people who will try and take advantage of that. I haven't checked any numbers specifically. I noticed Tim no longer makes predictions about future cannabis law changes. Well, I don't think I've ever made predictions about future cannabis law changes. There's not really much more to report than the current situation, which is still relatively opaque. In Thailand, tourists coming to Thailand are still able to access some stores. There's a lot fewer stores than there were, say, at the start of this year. But I think, the Thai government's just got more important things to concern themselves about at the moment. I have never predicted future cannabis law changes. If I have, please tell me what I said and when I said it. Hard radar. It's a shame the two likeable nations are at each other's throats. December 8, 2025, Cambodian soldiers were wounded by gunfire. 2 were injured. And this is from Toy Watch. I'm not sure what you're saying. An Australian satellite analyst points out the Cambodian initiated the conflict, reinforcing its military presence in several areas. I think Troy's trying to make a point. He's posting a whole lot of dates and actions. Toy Watch, sorry. I'm not going to be reading these out, but people can read them in the comment section if you like. You're posting so much stuff, it's impossible to read. And with that, Splat Fastard says, he's a guest. And somebody saying, never heard of Zombie. I've never heard of Zombie either. I don't know to whom you're referring. But I could keep on talking about my role in Thailand. I'm basically an expat. I'm an immigrant. Not a permanent immigrant, but I'm an immigrant of sorts. But I don't see myself as a guest per se, although some people will like to say that I am a guest. I appreciate you. Oh, here we are. Will you ever return to the iconic mother and son television series? Some people say that I look like one of the actors, Gary... Can't remember his name. But no, that was a great series, Mother and Son. He also played Norman Gunston, which was a great part. I'm talking about Australian sort of cultural stuff. I won't bother you. How do you know that you don't like alcohol if you've never tried it? I didn't say that I didn't like it. I just said I haven't tried it. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the way it affects people. I saw a lot of my peers when I was young poorly affected by their consumption of alcohol. Even a person in the same boarding school where I was living at the time who died of, it was said, alcohol poisoning. So I don't see that I've ever felt the need for it. I've never felt the need to even bother trying it. I didn't say I didn't like it, I just haven't used it. Thanks for watching. It's 8 minutes past 9. Time for me to go. Thank you for all those people commenting. I really appreciate you joining in. We'll do our best to try and keep you up to date with the information as it comes to hand. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. on this live program, and we look forward to you joining us then. In the meantime, have a fantastic Wednesday. We'll see you later.